Hey, I'm Quincy and I'm a radio personality, but just like you, I'm always wanting to make better health choices for myself and of course for my family. Now that's why I've teamed up with my friend Dr. Dean Tyndall and the fine folks of New Life Naturopathic, the creators of new-lifeweightloss.com, to bring you a podcast focused on giving you the information you need to make the best health decisions for you and your family. Now, that's going to be without sway from what mainstream medicine has become. Now, this podcast, Pursuit of New Life, we're going to release one each Friday. And we're going to focus on debunking the mainstream medicine myths now associated with naturopathic, holistic medicine, while giving you clear insight into ways you can make your health a lifestyle and not a jump from fad diet to fad diet. Experts in the fields of biochemistry, chiropractic, physiology, women's health, and much more will weigh in on a range of topics, all designed to open your eyes, expand your knowledge, and bring you to new life. Now be sure to subscribe to Pursuit of New Life on all the podcast platforms, and also follow us on YouTube at newlifenaturopathic.com, and be joining us every Friday for Pursuit of New Life.
Hey there, and welcome to another episode of Pursuit of New Life. We are glad to have you. Got some good information again to pass your way, but we would, of course, encourage you to subscribe to your favorite podcast platform for Pursuit of New Life. And also, of course, on YouTube, find us at the New Life Naturopathic YouTube channel. So that's how you can find us. That's how you can share us with your friends. And of course, always, we do not sugarcoat it. We get you the real information. And today, since it's going to be, next week that everybody's going to be putting on the fat pants and getting ready to get into some big meals and family and all that good stuff, we're going to talk about real food versus fake food. And Dr. T, to get us going on this one, I know there's some interesting information that has to do with Pottinger's cats. And then, for fans of physics, we're not talking about Schrodinger's cats. There's no cat in a box. This is a study and what cats ate and what came out of that. So we'll go ahead and get into this a little bit, Dr. Tyndall.
Okay. Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about a thing called a study that was done in the 30s by Dr. Pottinger. It's called Pottinger's cats, and he was the experiment started out. He was doing adrenalectomies and on cats to study how they do without adrenals, and has to do with I think it was like in association with tuberculosis. Anyhow, he was feeding cats kind of the food from where he was working at, cooked food, things like that, and cats were kind of unhealthy and dying, and they weren't surviving the surgery. So he was kind of like, what's going on? So he decided to give the cats real food, like from the butcher, raw meat and what cats eat, basically raw meat and raw milk, things like that, and cod liver oil. And he started realizing that, wait a minute, the cats, when I do these adrenalectomies, are living and they're not dying, and they're actually very healthy. So he's like, So he took a study and he kind of started shifting directions. He was like, what's going on with the difference between cooked food and raw food? And so we basically started the study where he took cats and he had a basic diet for them. It was like raw meat, raw milk, cod liver oil, organ meat and viscera and some bone. And that was kind of the main diet that he gave. Kept giving the healthy cats, and the other group of cats, he gave a little bit of that food, but then he started getting them like condensed milk, powdered milk, sweetened condensed milk, things like that, and started studying the cats. And what he found is that the cats that ate the real food, the raw food, they stayed, they had general dispositions, they had sound bone structure and density. On their teeth, their teeth were done. They were healthier. They had shiny fur. They had absence of any reproductive organs. As a matter of fact, when the cats, female cats and male cats, when they saw each other, kind of like, they responded like they're supposed to. They had superior overall health. And one of the other kind of things that they did with the cats is that they would throw the cat, and a healthy cat lands on its feet. Everybody goes, cat,
Yeah, we know that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So what they did then is the cats that they started kind of watching, they were feeding basically the fake food, which we would consider real food. He found that those cats started having arthritis problems, behavioral abnormalities, and some of those behavior abnormalities were like they were lethargic. They wouldn't play with each other. They wouldn't have that normal interaction between a male and female. Long term, there was sterility within the cats, skin disorders, allergies, hypothyroidism, skeletal deformities, dental deterioration, decrease in height, poor forming skulls, and inferior overall health.
So basically, real food, good health. Fake food, not so
bad
good
health. Not so good health. And what was interesting, again, when they threw these cats, they couldn't land on their feet.
Wow.
They'd flop, or they would lost. So it was definitely affecting their nervous system and coordination.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
So yeah, kind of here's a graphic here of kind of what it goes. So they fed the cats the raw scraps and organ meats and bone and raw milk, and he started breeding the cats within each generation also.
I was going to say, this also points out generational issues when it comes to our diets. Yeah,
correct. So this is the important part that we want to kind of actually get to, is the generational problems, because in the last 120 years in America, we have been under an experiment of pharmaceutical drugs that are made from petrochemicals, synthetic nutrition made from petrochemicals. We're going to more and more fake foods and more fake things. And if you see what we're doing to ourselves, the level of, especially when you hit the 70s, when we switched to the no fat, low fat diet. So then we start eating a lot more fake sugars and fake fats and fake stuff. You can see diabetes, obesity, cancer, everything just shoot up like it's a spaceship off of these graphs of how much of this we're having. So basically, you saw in the first generation of the cats, deformities, swollen, health issues, swollen gums and things like that. When they bred the cats within that generation, the next generation, the cats were smaller, flat heads, they had deformed teeth, they had just a lot of these health problems, coordination to temperature. And then the next generation, from cats that were bred within generation 2 into the generation 3, even more degeneration and more problems. Okay. And then when you got into the 4th generation, you're starting to have stillborn cats. You had reproductive problems. You had infertility, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And what was interesting, and then the next thing he did is he took the cats that were the 4th generation cats, the ones that did survive birth and stuff. And what he did then with them is then he started feeding them back a real food diet. And guess what happened?
They were able to correct it.
In a few generations, they were able to correct back to being healthy cats.
Wow.
So the gist of it is it's the what we eat and the lifestyle that gets us sick. But it's the great thing about it is it's what we eat and the lifestyle. If we change it to a healthy one, can make us healthy. We don't have to take a bunch of drugs. You don't have to do a bunch of surgeries. You don't have to do a bunch of crazy stuff. And hopefully that's why we keep preaching to people about the diet, our eating program, because our eating program is based on making your recipes out of single ingredient foods. So there's no chemical manipulation, taste manipulation to those vegetables and the meats and things like that. And you put that stuff together in your house, because all healthcare should be done in the home. And then guess what? If you start changing these patterns, your disease process that you're suffering from, that you created, you can uncreate them by being healthier.
Yeah. And you're talking about new-lifeweightloss.com when you're talking about the program that you guys have been able to put together. And, this study, I've heard about it before, and it's always intriguing because of what we talk about on this show a lot of times, real food versus fake food, and then also being able to come back when you start making the right decisions. And that it's a powerful example of everything we talk about just in that one study. Yeah.
Like, I just recently had a patient, I don't know if we talked about him before, but he's stage 4 kidney failure. He was on the list. is already doing dialysis. We put him on supplements to feed his, because we use whole food supplements are made from food, because you're trying to feed the gland, the organ, and the tissue, because basically those gland, organ, and tissues are just wore out because you haven't been taking good care of them. So anyhow, this guy, we put him on an eating program, and then he just took his supplements, and I think it's been a little bit over a year. He's been off dialysis for about 5 months now.
Wow.
And his globular filtration rate just recently has topped over 70. So he's, considered no longer kidney disease. But he's doing great, doing a lot better. And again, he did it because he took his supplements and he changed his dietary habits. We are here to give that advice, the guidance, and things like that.
Yeah. Well, it comes down to bringing it into our level, not just, cats, even as good as that study. And so, you just talked about a real example. Miriam, you were talking earlier before, as we were getting ready for this episode, that you've seen some discussions about some studies that are done that show us a little bit more about what it has, what kind of impact it has on people and skeletal structures and things like that. So you want to give us some insight as we get into this next section here, talking about how it impacts us and not just the cats like the one that's been roaming around on you during this episode.
Oh, you caught it.
I did. I saw J-Lo make
Oh,
the
there's
way. Yep, there's the tail.
I have the tail behind you.
It looks like you have a tail.
And now she's whining. She's like, why is the camera not on me?
Yes,
Well,
yes.
let's change that. Speaking of
There it is. You can't have a cat episode without. Yep, there we go.
Right.
I'm surprised we don't have Dr. Stuber's nutrient choosing cat that,
we should
Just sprouted that again. Yep.
Yeah, we should bring that cat on one of the end.
So in for us, looking at some of these things that we talk about real food and having generational impact on what we eat. What's your perspective there on this, Miriam?
So yeah, as you just mentioned, there was this more fascinating study that I found about this dentist. If you could remind me of his name, Dr. Steve.
What's the D price?
Thank you. Where he did an experiment on humans and was basically, it's not as easy to do these studies on humans. Right. And thankfully, PETA exists now, which I'm a member of. And so I definitely don't believe in animal testing. But that's another side note. So he did a study where he looked at the dentistry of people with various diets, and he saw that the people who ate, just like with the cats, the more natural, unprocessed foods, natural sugars, had a lot less dental problems, and we can definitely include that in another session. The visuals are pretty. Mm-hmm. Pretty eye-opening, actually. When you look at them, the differences are just very, very visible. And that is just diet. That's not even considering, lifestyle, stress management, sleep, exercise. That is, pure diet. So if we can just focus on changing our diet. And, New Life weight loss is not just about weight loss. It's definitely both, because part of being healthy is having healthy weight. But even more importantly, it's not about the calories you consume. It's the types of calories that you ingest, what they can or cannot do to your body. So, it's very important to look at just the aspects of whole food nutrition as a whole, and not just, oh, I'm trying to lose weight or I'm trying to do this. It's an entire system
Mm-hmm.
that we have set in place. So it is very fascinating to me, especially as a lab scientist, to see how drastic some of these differences can be when we're talking about just diet. And um, even the cat study, that was not even inbreeding, right? That's
No, inbreeding.
another topic, right? We're just talking purely on changing our diet, and so it's just amazing how much of a difference, you know, just for yourself as an individual, but also on a generational standpoint. If you do want to reproduce, if you do want to, have progeny, have children, it's very important that you stay healthy and you don't pass on those traits, because it can also affect your genetics and epigenetics, which can pass on to your further generations. And that's genetics. That's not even the lifestyle that you will also have an impact on your children.
Yeah, that's always the part of this study that stands out the most to me, is the generational impact, and he was able to see that and see how it can be corrected with the right decisions. Now, if we were doing this episode and Miss Karen was on with us, she'd be calling it real food versus stupid food, and she talks about how the fake food she calls stupid food because it doesn't have the intelligence to sustain life, and so that's really the difference that we're talking about. And so, Dr. Stuber, we're talking about these generational impacts, and you work with a lot of mothers, a lot of children. What are some of the things that maybe you can point out from some patients you've talked to, and what you've seen in practice?
Well, what I see in practice from women is that they know, they do a lot of research. They want their children to be healthier than they are, and they're trying to do the right things. But again, they're using Dr. Google. And
hey, you just gave me a reason to bring this out. Here it is.
Yeah,
it is.
Don't confuse your Google search with our training and experience.
And what they fail to see is it's as simple as eating smart and being healthy. We talk about real food versus fake food, but fake food isn't food, it's fake. So it's been created somewhere, and it's not about sustaining life and being healthy. Most of it is about making money. So I don't want to get into that. So anyway,
it's a whole nother rabbit trail.
I mean, I've become a little bit cynical as I've gotten older, as far as the motivations that people have for doing things. So again,
let me ask you this way then. You're talking about motivations. So for a mom that comes in and they're talking about things like wanting to make sure their kid is healthier than they are, what are some of the hurdles that you hear them talk about when it comes to making the decisions to get back on the right track generationally?
Okay. The biggest hurdle is taking what they're making very complicated and just backing it up and making it simple. Like when I always tell families, women, yesterday I had, the whole family came, which is wonderful. That's what I encourage. You have to be healthy first to have a healthy child. And some of that's bioenergetics. Women know, like, they work very hard when they're pregnant to be healthy. Oh, I need to take my folic acid. I need to take my prenatal vitamins. I need to get my nutrition so the baby has the nutrition. Again, back it up. To have a healthy child, you need to be healthy. And nutrition, as you heal, the child heals. Like, for example, we do DNA testing that is really great, because what it does is it'll show you what you can do, where your genetic SNPs are nutritionally, so that you can optimize and give yourself the best nutrition so you can live a healthy life. And eating simple is eating smart. And when you do that, you give yourself all the nutrients, all the nutrition that you need so that your body has the tools, the fuel it needs to function properly, and you live a better life. As we, a lot of times we use the analogy of cars, as you said, Quincy, everything, you relate it to a car. But I will tell people, if you look at the octane fuel, like most people know that you got 89, 90, I think it's 89, 91, 93 or something like that. Well, the higher the octane fuel, the further you go on the fuel. Like people will buy the cheaper gas because they think, it's cheaper gas. They don't realize that you don't go as far on cheaper gas because it has additives. It's not as pure. And food is the same way. Like single ingredient foods that are grown organically give you the nutrition you need and give children the nutrition they need to prevent illness and to recover. Like, I lost my train of thought. I know. A lot of times I want to point this out as far as supplements. And again, I'm learning, we see new products every day, and not so much standard process that we use. The whole food supplements and MediHerb, they have been around for over 100 years. So we know they're certified, they're pure, and their doses are correct. A lot of people look at things and they'll say organic. They'll say dairy-free, soy-free. I need to stress that just because something's organic does not mean it's not synthetic. So you really need to have single ingredient whole food. And our weight loss program, it's really as simple as eating smart. When you eat the right things and you get the right nutrition, your body heals. And as Dr. Tyndall pointed out with Pottinger's cat, you reverse the damage that has been done. When you eat fake foods, what happens is it leaches things from your body. Like women know that, if I don't feed my child healthy, they're not going to have good bones. They're not going to have good teeth. Like we all know, remember, don't eat the candy because your teeth will rot. And why that is it leaches the magnesium and the calcium and the building blocks for your teeth. Well, it does it to every other organ in your body too. Calcium is used for everything. So again, what I see is women are trying, but they need to realize that they need to be healthy first, eat the right nutrition, and genetically, we just get better and better and better with each generation.
Yep.
And
all right, doctor.
Food is not food.
Right. Yes. That we don't sugarcoat that part either. We know that the real food versus the stupid food. All right, Dr. Tyndall, we got a little bit left in this episode. Is there anything else you want to make sure people know as we're talking about real food versus fake food and this study from the 1930s that still applies and helps us understand a little bit better generational nutrition?
We're living the experiment right now. We were at a class here was it last week? It was 2 weeks ago, wasn't it? And the instructor basically said, if we don't start changing what we're doing, the human beings will not be on this earth within 8 to 10 generations. And of course, I quipped in. I said, except for chiropractors and naturopathic people, because we're eating healthy. We're trying to eat healthy and teach people to eat healthy.
Yeah, we'll be doing this podcast when it's just cockroaches and Twinkies left on the planet.
Yeah. And one of the things that there's like, if you want to watch some stuff like on we're talking about epigenetics and food and stuff. Nova did a thing on a couple of years ago. It's called Ghosting Your Genes. It's a great little series or episode that they have. It kind of explains, and in that episode, they talk about this community that in Europe that they're kind of bound in, and they have to keep real close records of their food. And as they studied, they start realizing, wait a minute, the years that they had a lot of food and a lot of abundance and all this other stuff, and the kids who were born during that time frame and eating, because they overate and had a lot of grains and stuff, that the kids would become diabetics. higher incidence of diabetics. And kind of what Julie said, a lot of parents, a lot of mothers, I'm thinking about getting pregnant, and they start eating now. Current research says you need to start at least a year ahead of time before you even try to conceive, because what you're eating in that time frame will affect you. Another study I ran across a couple of years ago, and I shared it with some friends. What a man eats that day will affect the quality of the sperm.
Interesting.
That day will affect his genetic structure in his sperm, because men are always making it. And the other thing about this stuff too is, this is why I try to explain to a lot of moms and things like that, because we deal with a lot of infertility issues. I tell ladies that when we deal with the infertility thing, I said, the only thing I ask is you do not come in my office and say, "Hey, Dr. Tyndall, you got me pregnant." Because I've had it happen. It's kind of embarrassing in the front staff, because they're all excited. Carrie's in the room. "I'm pregnant. I couldn't get me pregnant." I'm like, "Oh, I know."
Yeah, you got to pay attention to the verbiage and that.
Yeah, it's verbiage. But it's becoming a bigger problem. And the other problem that we have is Miriam's generation. A lot of them don't know how to cook. We see a lot of that. They just don't know how to cook. So that's part of the reason we put the program together, is simple recipes so that they can, easy for them to get back into cooking, learn to cook again. They don't know how to do that. But what I'm trying to explain to moms is that what you eat during before and during your pregnancy not only affects your child, but especially if you have a girl, it'll affect her and her babies. Because that baby, a female, when she's born, is born with all of her eggs. And so what you add during that affects not just her, but your grandchild. So guess what? You need to be making sure that you are eating right and taking care of yourself, because what you're doing is not just affecting you. It's going to be affecting you, your child, and your grandchild.
Man.
So, yeah.
That's as good as mic drop as any to finish up an episode talking about generational importance of real food versus fake or stupid food. So we want to make sure that you pass along this information so that people in your circle can hear and know the truth. And that's why we do this podcast. So on your favorite podcast platform, make sure you're subscribing to Pursuit of New Life. And on YouTube, if you want to visually see the episode and all the graphics and all that good stuff, you can go to the YouTube channel, New Life Naturopathic. And that's where we are located there. Would encourage you to subscribe so you know when new episodes are coming, and also, of course, sharing that with folks so they can get this good information from our New Life Naturopathic team as well. And for folks that are, eating the leftovers from or getting ready to eat the leftovers.
On our website, you can have a healthy Thanksgiving dinner. It's got turkey and everything in it.
There you go. So make sure you're checking this out as you're getting into your preparations this coming week for Thanksgiving. new-lifeweightloss.com. We encourage you to check out that site, as well as newlifenaturopathic.com. And so that's where we're going to point you, because some great information there, and our team does a good job. And we hope you have a good holiday, and we will make sure that you are with us next time on Pursuit of New Life.
Stop eating plastic.
Thanks, Quincy.
No more plastic in our
More plastic.